Hey, hey, that is the most awkward pause on the entire internet that I've ever been. Like, that's actually more painful than watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And then they give their final answer and they go, "Is that your final answer?" And then it's like, "Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da." And then they, of course, they get it wrong and they don't win $1 million. So here on this show, we win millions every day, folks. We get millions and millions and millions of adorational love from our fans who love to watch the show. So we're back this week with the Wednesday Night Live show. We fooled you again.
You guys.
You thought that you were going to get John Truncali, but no, you got us.
Oh.
You got
just
us.
Sorry. Hey,
three heads are better than one, right?
In the house than men. Thank God it's no longer a sausage fest.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm outnumbered. I'm outnumbered and shrinking tonight, folks. It's okay. But that's all good. So John had to take care of some personal matters, and so he's left
going to jail, y'all.
Yeah, he left it up to the when the cat's away, the mice will play. So the three visual, openly wide-eyed visual mice are allowed to run free in the maze tonight. So we got some stuff to talk about. We'll get to all that. The title of the show is "Where Do These Idiots Get Their Data?" I think we've been asking that question for many years, but there's one thing that stands true on this show is that there is one idiot who has wonderful data. One non-idiot who has wonderful data to share with everybody on the show. With the hair flip, we all can do that. You and I can do that.
I cut my bangs since the last show. Okay?
Exactly. So Lindsey's got a couple things to talk to us about. We'll get to the article about teenagers smoking at 1970s levels. I don't know. Do they have the long stems on them now too, like the Cruella de Vil stems on them?
Did you guys notice that they brought Basics back? I haven't seen Basics in years, and now I'm going to the gas stations and I'm seeing Basics advertised.
I don't see that. All I hear about anymore is how moms and dads are foolishly and blindly apparently buying backwoods backpacks for their kids for back to school.
Oh God!
That's all all the kids are big on the backwoods backpacks. I guess I live under a rock, folks. I did not know what backwoods were.
The tracking stuff and like the hiking gear.
Well, backwoods are like cigarillo wrappers that you put Mother Earth in and smoke it. So it's a company that sells
cigarillos. Okay. They're selling backpacks.
Yes. And they're putting like Marge Simpson and Homer Simpson and all these cartoon characters and funsy onesie things on it that are attracting the kids because they're cool designs and all that good stuff. Now, look, I'm not against the flower industry and tea. I'm not against it in any way, shape, or form. But it's just another one of those sort of hypocritical things that is out there in the nether, because you got 12 and 13-year-olds who all want their backwoods backpacks because it's trendy and it's cool. I know that backpacks aren't particularly harmful, but maybe they're a gateway to something else. That's all I'm saying. So, Lindsey, we expect some numbers next week on how backpacks are
affect us.
We're seeing an increase in smoking because of these backpacks. Exactly.
An increase in some really happy, hungry kids in middle school. So, at any rate,
walk around going, "Cookie dude."
Yes.
Just in time for the snack wrap.
Just in time for the snack wrap. So, and then I pulled up another article that I found kind of late, flipping through TikTok, which was how another wonderful university has apparently deemed vaping this horrific thing. So we'll talk. Maybe if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about that. But for the time being, we're going to go around the room. We're going to see how everybody's week has been going. Miss Michelle, how has your week been going?
It's going. It's hot. It's very hot. Very hot. And we had a lot of rain. So, I'm glad for the rain because it had clouds, but the steam and all and the heat never stopped. So I'm about tired of the hot. But it's better than snow any day.
I will absolutely accept that. I saw a meme today where it said that Georgia has officially detached from the United States and taken its rightful place next to the sun. So I saw that meme earlier today.
Yeah, well, we're south of y'all, so
we have the coast at least. Okay, we have water around us.
Get a little bit of breeze.
It just gives us more humidity. That's all. It just gives us more humidity.
Exactly. So yeah, we're supposed to get some relief tomorrow. It's supposed to. We're supposed to have a rain front come through, so it's supposed to take the temperatures down into the high 70s, which I'll take the cooler temperatures. I just don't want the rain. I'm kind of over that too.
I don't think we're gonna get down there.
That rain coming until November, guys. Okay, that's where we're all located at. All right, then just praying that we don't get a hurricane. All right.
Right. Well, that's next, right? We got to wait for hurricanes.
Don't talk about them.
No,
I don't talk about them.
At least we're not in line for a tsunami, right? So at least we're on the eastern side of the country. Russia's earthquake won't affect us.
A little tsunami that never happened.
Yeah,
everyone freaked out and stuff, and I was just like, somebody was telling. It was Paul, I got from Australia, that he's telling me. I was like, wait, this many centimeters? I was like, that's like not even a foot. I saw bigger waves at the beach today, than that one.
Well, you got to kind of feel bad a little bit. I mean, it just seems like California and the West Coast are like seemingly always under threat of some natural disaster. It's like there's no relief. You know,
that's because they make it something, though.
Well, that's true, but you'd think that more people would be like, "I'm out of here." You know, like that's enough. Mudslides, earthquakes. Tsunamis, forest fires, like the whole nine. Anyway, enough doom and gloom. Let's go over to the wonderful Lindsey. How has your week been?
I went to the beach yesterday.
You did?
Even though it rained on me, it was still good. It's like I refused. I was like, I'm not driving back home. But yeah, week's going good. We're gonna discuss. I got THR's 50 states are all done, so I can't complain about that one. And fingers crossed, I'm waiting for an op-ed to get published. So let's hope that this third publication that I finally sent it to will actually publish it.
Very good. Well, good news. Good news is good news. So yes, we're hoping and praying that it will get finally published. So all of our wonderful eyes can read that.
Yeah, we can always use good vibes. So, and Tim, how's your week going?
Well, it's going. So it's been a pretty normal week for me in terms of work, but we had a really full weekend last weekend. So my wife's birthday was on Friday. She celebrated her 41st. 29. So she 21 again.
There you go.
So we had a very kind of close and wholesome birthday day. We did go out and gorge on sushi, so that was a fun day, and we kept it close and wholesome on Friday night because we went out the following night right here around the corner of the Beaufort Community Center to go see our friends in Departure play, and they had a Def Leppard tribute open up for them called Excitable. So we went and we have some friends that play in that band too, so we did that. And then Sunday we ended up in the mountains of Dahlonega for a friends cookout kind of thing up in the, so it's kind of weird. I refuse to talk too much about it on the show because there might be some wandering ears. So where we go to these people's house, they live kind of in this very sort of protected, sort of off the beaten path, kind of woodsy area, so it looks like you're like camping, like they have cabins. Like this guy built this cabin in 1990s something. And so you're off in the woods and you feel isolated, but like as soon as you get off their little dirt road, there's like a normal,
Walmart
cookie cutter, suburb right as you're leaving there. And it's like, 2 or 3 minute drive. But the difference is, and I'll say this because people, if you've seen the movie, you know the movie. But I tell my wife, I'm like, every time we leave this place, I feel like I'm like in the movie The Village. Has anybody seen the movie The Village from M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
And you know the story, right? So you kind of know what happens. So I can't say anymore. At least here inside this house.
You probably don't know this book, but Margaret, whatever, I forget her last name, but actually there's a young adult novel called Running Out of Time. And the premise of it, and this came out before the Village did, the premise of it is like a 13-year-old girl living in this place in Indiana that's like, these people think that it's the 1830s or whatnot, and then yeah, they give them diphtheria or something, and so she's got to go out into the real world and like, you know, come back with a cure or whatnot. The lady actually did sue M. Night Shyamalan actually for, you know, kind of ripping off her idea, and you guys probably won't read it, so I don't really care about, you know, ruining the spoilers. You know,
spoilers. Yeah, no
yeah, but a
spoiler
spoiler alert on the book, running out of time. Yeah, the big thing was the Villages, or the people who made it. Yeah, they actually intentionally injected that diphtheria in there so they could create a gene pool, like a better gene pool or whatnot. So it's actually, yeah, it's called like Clifton Village or whatnot. But it's actually, when you're reading it, because again, it's a young American or young adult novel, but it's, yeah, seeing like a 13-year-old describe KFC, you know, and
right.
it's
the first time.
Yeah, the first time, and describing jeans, you know, because she's used to wearing gingham and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good stuff. So anyway, that's the experience I have every time I leave there. And
talking about it on the whole, yeah, I mean, like, wow, night and day, actually, kind of like straddling to, you know, two states. No.
I'm like, are you guys just a bunch of teachers? You know, I don't know. Anyway, but that's that. So it was all around good weekend. So can't complain, and we keep moving forward. So with that said, let's get to the chat. I don't know where John keeps the music. I'm sorry, folks. I'm technically inclined, but John has this crap down to a science. He knows where to find everything. So there's going to be no music today. But as I was walking through the forest, because we were kind of milling around and checking things out, I stepped on a stick. And, you know, normally, you know, sticks make like a cracking noise. But when I stepped on this one stick, it was like the flute from HR Puffin stuff. And it said, "Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday Night Live show with a British accent." It spoke to me like that. I can't do a good British accent. But anyway, let's say hi to the good people in the chat. Who do we got in here? I was a little nervous before the show. I was like, nobody's in chat tonight. Where the heck is all the chat people?
Yeah, we don't have.
So we got Jeff. Oh, Danny boy in the house. Good to see you, Jeff. Welcome back to the show. We got Neil Old Spice Pitts in the house. What's up, Neil? Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. We got Robert, not on a billboard, lawyer in the house.
Yes.
Good to see you, Robert. How are you, sir?
Hey, Robert.
And we got Steve, Emoji King, Tottenham with hey and no emojis. So Steve, you're gonna have to pick it back up. You got to get back on your game there, brother. Good to see you. We got 13 in the chat tonight. So welcome back to the show. It was the Village. This is the Village edition of the Wednesday Night Live show. So if anybody in a red cloak shows up at your door,
we have no responsible adult with us right now, guys.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yep. Just pretend you're blind and run for the hills. That's the only advice I can give you for right now. So let's cut over.
Invite all your friends.
Exactly, invite all your friends. Yeah, and maybe Joaquin Phoenix will show up. Who knows? Maybe he'll make a cameo appearance.
As long as he does it in his Joker paint, I'm down for that.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want him to be dressed up in a like a King Arthur outfit and just look at us all and go,
"You suck."
I don't want that to happen. Then bad things are coming. So at any rate, let's kick off all of the wonderful stuff. Let me share. I know Lindsey has an update, a THR 101 update.
Yeah, okay,
so we're gonna let her talk all about that. But I will share. Yes, I will if I can find it here. It's that one, right?
THR 101.
Yeah. No, it doesn't put them in the same order as I put them on my browser. All right,
okay.
So that's the page.
Click on state profiles. Yeah.
Click here.
Yeah, state profiles. Yes.
Here.
Okay. So I'm really excited to announce.
Now it's going to go to another page. Hold on. Hold on. Let me unshare that because I changed pages. So hold on one second. Let me share the actual page that I'm looking at. Stop screen. Okay. Do it again. Share screen. Go here. State profiles. Bam. I think this is what you wanted to show.
Yeah.
Bam.
look at how sexy that is, man.
That
Like,
is.
colors have finally matched too. Yeah, I'm not a web developer, people. Okay,
Yes, you are. Now you are.
I'm learning this as I go, but I'm excited to announce that all 50 states are done. A couple disclaimers: Pennsylvania and Kentucky do not have 2023 numbers because they did not meet the criteria to be included in BRFIS. Now, what I did for them is I have 2022 numbers, so they still have a page. But this is literally, if you want to know how many people are smoking or vaping in any given state, kind of look like, you know, what they kind of look like demographic wise. What were the rate of change? What's going on with the youth situation? This is your go-to source. I'm hoping the numbers, the CDC's numbers come out, and like they're going to come out in a couple months right now. So I'm hoping to actually have it updated for 2024, and I'm really excited to see those because like even in 2023, you're seeing a kind of like a couple, you know, fun, interesting facts. For example, in Hawaii, there's more adults vaping than smoking, 10.1% and 9% respectively. You're seeing young adult smoking rates that are at their lowest level ever. You know, you're looking at on average about like 5% of 18 to 24-year-olds are smoking, which is impressive when you look at 1995, and it's like 30% of them. So this is the stuff to piss off CTFK because they have their own state pages and everything, and they're all sexy. And if you see a mistake on anything, just reach out to me. I can get it back into the back end and like fix it up pretty quickly, sure. You know, pretty easily. But and I'm not, you know, we all make mistakes. I'm okay with it. So, but
well, yeah, no,
and you know, and it's thr101.org/whatever your state is. If your state's got two names in it, you know, like South Dakota, you're going to need to put the hyphen between those. But
yeah, up here on the URL bar. So are these links here equal to the interactive map? I love the interactive map. That's cool.
The interactive map does not work on a mobile, and so I got them all done on Thursday, and then I had the state, because I was going to share it on Thursday, but then I was cleaning up the state page, like that dropped at that page right there, and I was doing it on the website, and then I go to the mobile site, and it was just completely screwed up, and I was just like, no, I am too tired. I just spent 13 hours finishing this. We're going to get it tomorrow and stuff. So then I was just like, you know what, we're going to cancel out this map because it doesn't really show up that well on mobile devices, but so that's why you have the web links on the bottom of it.
Yeah, I wonder, not to get into web design possibilities, but maybe it could be that if the page is loaded on a browser, it gives you the interactive map, and then if it's loaded on a mobile, then it just drops the map altogether and just goes to this.
Well, I need to talk. Well, it's actually this. So I've got the web platform that I'm using, and then that map is a different web program. And then click on any given state too, because you know, they've got we'll go on Georgia.
Okay, hold on, I got here. Let me stop, and then I'm gonna remove that. Stop sharing, and then I'll bring up Georgia. So hold on, folks. Every time I change pages, it doesn't jump like.
And you'll find out you guys will find out all the nicknames of the states too if you click on them. All right.
But as advocates,
one flaw on the website for Georgia, reporting a mistake.
What?
The background image should be peaches.
That is a peach.
Is that it? It looks like a tomato.
Yeah, no, that is a peach. But they also on the website they look a lot different than if you do it on Welcome to my web platform, okay? But one of these days when I get some funding, I'll change it over to something that's like a lot more. I'm still worried
an interactive peach
and stuff, and you're going to be clicking on states, and it's going to take you to porn or something. Be like, that's not Lindsey.
You don't want that, no.
I was going to tattoos on that. But if you go down, there's these interactive graphs that like I'm really proud of, and again, that was using multiple. Yeah, so you can, that's all smoking rates by age, and that's one of my favorite ones because especially the one that you just see drop, that's the one that's 18 to 24-year-olds, and where does it start dropping? When Juul got introduced.
That's cool. I like how it does it for you, and you don't actually have to like mouse over the ears and sort of get like the pop-up kind of.
Those are, by the way, those are clickable. so you can click on them and they'll stop or whatnot and everything. You just don't know that. Yeah. So you just, I hit everything on that. So they automatically just start when you're pulling up the page, and then, yeah, you can click on it. I totally did not even realize that myself till I was sitting there looking at it on my cell phone. I was just like, why is this stopping? I was like, oh crap, that's the way that you designed it, Lindsey.
No, that's a good thing. That's because that was one of the things when I was looking through it. I thought, well, I really want to see what it's doing right here compared to the next one. And when I clicked on it, it was like, oh, that is so cool. That is so cool, because I could see exactly what was going to happen.
I didn't like the way that the thing looked when I had the play button on it, especially because it's all black. And I did kind of, when I designed it in 2020, I kind of wanted it to feel like Miles Davis, you know, Rebirth of Cool, kind of like being in a cigar lounge or whatnot and stuff. So I'm going to keep with the color schematics right now, at least for right now, until, you know, I get some funding and I can pay somebody to do. So I can pay a real web developer.
No, I like, well, what I like about it is that it does give you, rather than having to kind of like assemble the timeline and the rise and the falls, this actually just gives you the real sort of, I'll call it real time, but it gives you the playbook as it goes across the screen, so you can actually kind of see it for yourself with your own eyes. Yeah. The rates dropping and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you want to be specific, you know, you can stop it, you know, at what you want to see. But I do like the idea that it just kind of plays.
Also, go back up if you don't mind. Go to the full report. You're gonna have
yeah, I gotta stop. Yeah, it's gonna page out. Yeah. Hold on.
And I do, and again, I'm open to suggestions. I've been talking to a couple people of whether, because like right now the way I have it designed is anything you click on, it opens into a new window. My brother told me the other day to actually have it open up in this window that you have it that you're already on. So
that's debatable for me. It really sort of depends. Like, you can do framing and stuff on your website. So for example, you could have the button to say open the full report, and then what you can do is you can have this report open up in a frame on that page, but leave you on that page, so you can still scroll up and down and stuff. Because I did that for a friend who has a t-shirt shop, and he didn't want people to have to leave the website to go to the t-shirts. He wanted the t-shirt options to show up. So rather than a store, the t-shirt shop link opens up as a frame on his page. So so you could do it that way. But opening a new tab.
I don't think he wants us to open up. Yeah. So, and this is the full report, guys. This is, I've been looking at the numbers since 2020. Okay. So this is just the latest iteration of them. I changed a little bit up and stuff. Next year, they're going to look a hell of a lot different. Well, yeah, in a couple of months, they're going to look a hell of a lot different, but they're designed for idiot state lawmakers. So bullet points, as my homie told me, that actually I should probably sit there and start like making them into comic book or like our coloring books and sending them to the idiot lawmakers with crayons, because they might actually read it then at that point. Right. But you'll see that you're going to have, like, that's the first page is all bullet points. And I'm seeing, there is a freaking mistake on Georgia already. Great. Okay, we're going to have to go back and fix that, but it's fine.
So I've got a question for you. Can I go ahead and start sending this, your link to some of these people who need to see it?
Yes,
Are you ready for that?
Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely.
I will be glad to do that.
It's Lindsey at THR101 or, info at THR101.org. So for the email.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think Georgia, we didn't have state specific numbers for youth, because Georgia didn't participate in the youth risk behavior survey. So it's just the US numbers on that one, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I see that there's a mistake. I got to go back through and there's a goddamn freaking bullet point. And again, I'm working. It's a one-woman show here, guys. Okay, they're not going to be 100% perfect.
I didn't catch it. It's like going. It's like being in.
All of that, by the way, I make all of that. Like all of those freaking graphs and everything. Those are on Excel. I make the whole freaking PDF. I have to go through. It's a freaking process.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. but it's very well put together. And I like how you have it all sort of broken down and consolidated so everybody can easily read what's going on and see all that. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, again, they're designed for idiot state lawmakers and also to kind of piss off CTFK. And speaking of those numbers, I mean, I did the numbers with CTFK the other day on there. And first of all, their state analysis sucks. If I have to sit here and say that, I mean, they don't have the nice little URL slug. Okay, you know, you got to get like there's like 10 different things in there before you get to the freaking state. Versus mine is like, you know, THR 101 / whatever state. I was looking through their numbers and they don't make any sense to me. One of the states saw a 29.5% decrease in smoking. Yet they saw a 16.1% increase in smoking, healthcare related smoking or smoking related healthcare costs.
Yeah, I saw that. That was your Twitter or Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not giving that state out because I don't trust some people in this industry right now because that's like my next project actually. It's not going to look as sexy as those, but yeah, just breaking down some of these numbers with like I looked at like 2 states and it's just like, okay, these numbers make no sense. Like if you've got the lowest rates of smoking that you can see this on THR 101's website. I mean, the only increase that I saw in smoking, you know, rate increasing from 2022 to 2023 was among 65 and older or 45 to 64-year-olds.
Huh.
45 to 65?
45 to 65. So the CDC breaks them down 18 to 24, 25 to 34, and then so on like every 10 years up until 65 plus. So what I do is I kind of aggregate 25 to 44 and I aggregate 45 to 64. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, to make it just 4 contingents of people and stuff because it's just that first graph. Yeah, that would just be too many lines on there and be kind of confusing. Right.
And then I like at the bottom you have all your references for where information was coming from.
That's
just
awesome,
so people can't sit there and say, "Oh, you just put a bunch of blather into a package that you want us to read, but you have nothing to back it up." And bam, right there at the bottom, there's all your references.
No, I'd love to actually sit there and do what the other side does and just make up fucking numbers, but you know,
yeah, just pull them out of the air. Just
I got this thing called integrity. It's also another name for unemployed. But
yeah, well, somebody with a brain in between their 2 ears, you know, would want to have validation for where all this information comes from, whereas a good portion of the people who read the gotcha headlines, there's really nothing in there to substantiate or prove anything that they say. It's just a bunch of words, and because it's sensationalized, people will believe.
Oh, well, that's what. Well, I mean, and somebody told me because I've been doing these for a couple of years now. Somebody told me they're like, you know, you could get these peer reviewed and published, and I was like, what the hell's the point on doing that? The popcorn monks are peer reviewed and published.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, because some idiot like sat here and said that this is good. They also sat there and said that that was good. So, I mean, and I don't really care about that. This is mostly just a lot of lawmakers don't have access to this, even though they have a health department. They've got campaign for tobacco.
And they need to.
Yeah. And so, and also there's a couple things. I mean, I started looking at these because it was that whole argument about, you know, youth vaping, smoking. Well, we actually have, you know, real data, you know, consumer data that proves otherwise. But also, I mean, there's just a lot of other insights in there that you get that you don't really realize until you're watching, until you're actually seeing those movable graphs and everything. Yeah. But also the one thing that pissed off Campaign for Tobacco Free Kids was the demographics. So they always like sit there and say, you know, and it's true, like, you know, Native American, what do we call them? American Indian, Alaska Natives. They smoke they have the highest rates of smoking when you're just breaking it down by race. But if you're going to take all the people who smoke and put them all together and stuff, yeah, it's about 70% white people.
Right.
So they're going after like the menthol bans. Like, well, this doesn't have to do anything with public health because you're not helping out the majority of people who actually smoke.
True. Well, you know, once again, they pick some unverifiable demon that they like to prop up on a pedestal. So, you know, anything they can take to make it seem like, that's
the sky is falling. The sky is falling. It's chipping.
Yeah. The menthol is falling. The menthol, all the trees are made, like all the pine trees, your whole entire life, they're just chock full of menthol. It's the sky is falling. So, yeah. So everybody head on over to THR 101. Check out Lindsey's wonderful work there on the site.
If you see mistakes, just reach out to me. I'm not going to be offended by it. I really appreciate the extra eyes and scrutiny.
Yeah, and even though we have mentioned it before on the show, if you need, I mean, outside of going like right to the Royal College of Physicians or the Cochrane Group or something like that, I mean, if you need to prove a point and you need information at your disposal, you could just give them this link and they can just have a field day going through and reading the numbers. I mean, Lindsey addresses.
And also, you can always write a blog post on there too, guys. All right, I've already done it before. So on with the certain people and stuff. So I can make a boom, 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 boom. Okay, we still provide testimony and everything. It's not just the 50 state profiles, but that is the bread and butter of the website.
Yeah, and Neil, to that point as well, many of the same agencies that you are a little confused about in terms of this stuff, even if other people are coming out with information about how vaping is safer than smoking, a lot of these same agencies were the same ones that were propagating that same message years ago. They were the ones that were like, yeah, take up vaping. It's safer for you. It's better than smoking. And then all of a sudden now they have this 180 turn. So, they kind of backtracked on themselves. So it makes them look like a bunch of hypocrites to begin with anyway. So, they kind of stuck.
I've got a theory on that one. So, I mean, I think that the biggest one is that now you're actually seeing vaping kind of like you're seeing THR kind of replace cigarettes. So, and you've got some big, powerful players on this one that are not really happy about this at all. And also, when it comes to the states too, we've got one of the most lackluster regulators that and it changes every single freaking administration and stuff. Yeah. So, and they're not so much. What's really pissing me off at the FDA right now is that they're supposed to be the regulator, not tobacco control. Right. You're not in charge of reducing smoking, smoking related lung injury, lung diseases or whatever and stuff. You're in charge of making sure that these products don't have arsenic in them.
They don't see it that way. No, and they're getting away with it. They're getting away with it.
And it's both. It's not even. I knew it was bad under Biden, but honestly, I would have thought the people under Trump are just as bad as the people that were under Biden. As far as they're looking at it as they're looking at it as nanny as tobacco control. We already have CTFK, dude. We do not need another one, and definitely not from your side of the aisle.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, not to yammer on about stuff like that. I think we all kind of have our own fomented opinions about why things are the way that they are. But it's just I'll try to put it all in a nutshell really quick, because I am certainly not one of those staunch conspiracy theory kind of people. But what I'm saying is, when you see patterns develop and things kind of always seem to repeat themselves, it makes you think a little bit more about what the actual agenda really is. And so, there was a story online not that long ago, or within the last week. It's been more focused on recently. There is a guy who lives here in Georgia. I forget his name, but he is a really smart guy, and he built this machine in the last 5 years that takes basically waste plastic and converts it to refinable fuel into gasoline. So he's basically inventing this technology that could change the world as we know it, and help reduce pollution in many ways. And he proves it. He shows it on his TikTok videos, and he talks adamantly about it. But then he came out pretty recently saying that things were getting kind of weird, and and he was telling people, hey, keep your eyes peeled. Some weird stuff had been happening to him. And then there was this big blow up story this week about how he's been missing for 2 weeks because he hasn't posted on TikTok since the beginning of November, when he left his cryptic message about, hey, some weird shit's going on, everybody keep your eyes open kind of thing. Come to find out, his mother came out and said he's okay, he's safe, he's just keeping a very low profile, for his safety. And so it
he's
kind of,
scared.
well, yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
because here comes the repetition in it all. Is like, I think I remember hearing about some guy who had invented a tire that was like effectively indestructible, so that if it got out to the regular marketplace, everybody could just buy one set of tires and you never need to buy another set of tires. But then somehow the government swoops in and buys up all the patents, and this guy's invention never makes it out to the street. Maybe it went to the military, who knows. Anyway, but there was that story, and then there's the whole idea around cancer treatments and stuff like that, like with all this technology and all this money that's gone into cancer treatments, like why are people prevented from getting these advanced technology treatments, or this thing this doctor discovered that could potentially stop cancer in its track? Like, that never happens. You just keep people sick and going through chemotherapy. And then, you have, this incident with this guy who's invented this life. That. And this guy who invented this machine that can convert basically waste plastic into gasoline, that could prove to be a detriment to the fuel industry and all this other stuff. And now he's got Black Hawk helicopters flying over his house and stuff like that. And then it led me right back to, and I said to my wife, I said, I hate to like throw this into the pot. I'm like, but look at vaping. It's like almost the exact same thing. It's like, Han Lick, invents this thing, and, and it's eating into people's pockets, and it's getting people away from, the thing that, is a detriment to them and to, society as we know it.
Living longer.
Whether it's direct deaths from smoking related diseases, whether it's secondhand smoke and the dangers and all of that, but cigarettes are protected. And you go down the rabbit hole with that whole thing, like with the MSA and big tobacco and big.
It's really hard.
You get my point.
And it's really hard not to have to okay on, all right.
Exactly, because
it's not really a rabbit hole either. It's a highway. I mean, literally, it's not a rabbit hole anymore. It is so true that it's a highway right there.
Yeah, and it's very easy to try to like look at all of those things, and some people could look and say, oh, you're just sort of like working really hard to connect the dots, because it plays to your narrative. That and I'm like, no, it's just patterns, man. It's like I'm dating, it's like all these things are like the bad, like the evil X, you know what I mean? It's like, they're constantly coming for you, trying to keep your life.
Well, have you ever gone down the popcorn lung? Because I got caught up last week, and I still have to like publish this on THR 101. I got caught up going on the popcorn lung, the history on that one.
Yeah.
So like, just give a mini recap of what the hell happened there. In 2000, in Missouri, there was a cluster of like 8 people at this microwave popcorn factory in Missouri that all developed bronchitis obliterans or whatnot. 2002, the CDC goes and looks at it. They do a morbidity mortality weekly report. 2004, you have a New England Journal of Medicine report that they had done. They looked at like 115 workers or whatnot. Now, from everything that I've seen that I was able to find, that these popcorn line, these microwave factory workers, it was only really in Missouri. There was a case maybe in like California, but it was one. And then you're looking at 8 people out of what, probably 500 people working at the facility. It's still kind of like really small. Well, between 2004 and 2007, you start seeing these factory workers that are suing. And then 2007 is where you get your one case, Wayne fucking Watson, okay? And he's the one that sued because he was a consumer, and he sued, and he successfully sued actually, but only one that sued. But there is no evidence that, eating microwave popcorn. But I was looking, I got this search engine that ProQuest, it's like a database or whatnot. And so like I went and clicked on 2007, and it was just like all of this alarmist, articles or whatnot. And now, and it's the same shit now when it comes to popcorn lung and vaping. And again, we have no verifiable cases. We also don't, unlike the microwave popcorn, we also don't have anybody who's actually successfully sued one of these manufacturers for a case of popcorn lung.
All right. Right. Well, I mean, and that the part was brought up in the discussion I was having with my wife, and I was like, it comes up constantly because it's a good buzzword. You know what I mean? It's a good thing to throw out there that for certain, because it is known that in the past, some e-liquids were heavy on the diacetyl side, and then they tie those two together and they go, well, because the popcorn factory workers had it, and because the doctor said, well, it was primarily due to this chemical in the powder that they were inhaling, but at volumes.
At like 800 parts per million or whatnot, and they were doing it 8 hours a day, and they
exactly.
Even the cigarette, like where a cigarette has about 700 times the amount of diacetyl or diacetyl, however the hell you pronounce it, you're not exposing yourself the way that these microwave popcorn. And actually, they had one of the studies that I was reading. These workers were kind of like in the mixing room, and so there was a different and also
they handled it. They handled it directly and poured it into, measured it, and was there when it was being mixed for the first time. I remember that. Yeah,
exactly. And as I say, there's always this nuance to it, but it ends up becoming the primary element that they like to talk about. So I brought that up with my wife, and I'm like, there's no verifiable cases, at least from, in the vaping world. No one technically has had it. So they like to use it, but no one has had it.
When they always bring up that teenager, and it's like, I thought bronchitis obliterans is a freaking that you're gonna die. So is that kid dead now? I mean, where the hell's her fucking obituary?
Right.
They don't care about that though. They just, hey, I heard this, so I'm gonna tell it as facts.
Oh yeah, well, I was on the news on Monday, okay, and that I was not expecting that after that one. But then the reporter comes back to me and asks me about 7OH or whatever.
I don't know much about that. I hear about it a lot now, but I don't know anything.
No, I'm not going down that freaking rabbit hole at all. Like, I don't know enough about this one, and no, I mean, if the news media, if you're on that one,
you know what? To me, it seems like just another one of those things that comes along that, it makes it into, it's an unregulated product that's made it into the CBD vape shop environment. It's, I'm not saying it's as detrimental as like bath salts and all that stuff that kind of found its way into the market. And then, once a bunch of people started falling out, there's all kinds of problems with it. And then they close the loophole and they make it illegal. But now that's the hot item, that's what you can drink it. You can smoke, like there's all different forms on how you can consume it. And apparently people are on it and wigging out, and now they're having a hard time quitting it and all this other stuff. So
the only thing I've heard about kratom that it might have a bit, and I wish that there was just more studies done, is it's supposed to be about kratom itself. Has, from what I've understood from other people's, that it might have some beneficial properties to help people with.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
It's just, and so
I think I'm sorry, I just don't take very much of it, and I think it does help a lot of people. But if you overdo it, that's what I keep hearing. If you overdo it, then
that's what I'm hearing, is like people are getting sort of quickly addicted to it, to the point where they're kind of bastardizing it and abusing it, like many things, that kind of hit the market. Well, I'm going to move on real quick because it's about 13 minutes before the end of the show. Real quick. Welcome to the show, Don Scirocco Ayako. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Anthony, not Ponch Estrada is on the show. Eric Estrada. And I always pick on him for that one. He knew that was coming. So, and we got Peggy. Peggy
at Florida in the house.
At Vape Cat. So your middle name is at. So we'll enjoy the time as the suffix changes over time. Welcome to the show. All right. So John wanted to talk about this particular article. Let me share that and I'll read it. It's not very long, and we had to go through like 14 websites before we didn't have to pay to actually read this article. So just
with us.
Call us resourceful. It was luckily I found it on Yahoo News, a very trustworthy source of news for everyone. But this actually was on telegraphco.uk. It was on a couple of other websites as well. But they're saying now teenagers who vape are smoking at 1970s levels. So the title of the show is, where do these idiots get their data from? Teenagers.
By the way, this is from London, correct? Or
yes, it seemed to source from the UK.
UK somewhere.
originally. So a lot of copy pasting going on, and it finding its way into
assholes. Okay,
it doesn't specifically say world news here, but it was a UK thing. That's kind of where it all manifested. Teenagers who vape are also smoking cigarettes at 1970s levels, leading to fears that the devices are providing a gateway to tobacco addiction. Wrong. You're taking away the vape. You're taking away the vaping.
Show you that it's wrong. That's bullshit.
You're taking away the vaping, and the kids are just going to whatever alternative you decide to leave available to them. And guess what's available?
Exactly.
Although there has been a substantial fall in cigarette smoking by young people over the last 50 years, accounting for just 1.5% of teens. I like how they couldn't even put the word percent together.
These are actually U.S. numbers.
Yeah, 1.5 per penny of teens percent. That's actually one word, Yahoo. Where's your copy editors when you need them? Among vapors, one third are continuing to smoke. It is the same level at which teenagers were smoking in 1974. Researchers from the University of Michigan have said. Dr. Jessica Mongiglio of the Center for Study of Drugs, Alcohol, Smoking, and Health at Michigan said, from the data I have seen, overall nicotine use rates are still continuing to decline, but more slowly than before.
Well, you have less than 5% of kids smoking. Okay, that's just basic freaking math right there.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and then two, when you talk about it on the nicotine levels, I mean, if you're going to cut out all the other variables that are available, say with the refillables and limiting options for people, but you're throwing the disposables out on the shelf, again, they're only getting one option. So if you get a bunch of people all hopped up on 50 milligram or 60 milligram. I know UK has limits now, right? I think they limit the amount of
limits for a while. Yeah.
Right. Too much. Yeah.
But with that said, it's going to take a lot more time for people to come down if they only have one choice out on the market. Like there is no 50 to 30 step down for most people. There's no 30 to 18, 12, 6, 3. I mean, it just right now that's not a used to be, right?
Used to be.
Hey, vape shops used to be really cool. You could go make your own liquid and everything.
Exactly.
When we were in control of what we did for what the people wanted, but they took all that away.
No. And the market responded. Okay, we still have these things everywhere, and so I mean, good luck actually getting rid. See, what the Customs Border Protection can sit here and try to try to knock out every single disposable. It's not going to fucking happen. I mean, unless you're going to become like $1 billion or something on that part. But
even if you take them out of the stores, it'll be rampant on the streets. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Although this study does the plateauing of those declines is likely due to the uptick in e-cigarette use, especially by teens and young adults.
Likely do. We don't have actually we don't actually have there's nothing in that study that actually proves that.
Right. Well, and again, they use keywords that kind of defy the brain. They love to use might, could, likely
might, would.
I saw a TikTok video earlier today where this guy, this thoracic surgeon was talking about why vaping was so bad, but he ends his whole diatribe with, well, the other problem is we don't have hardly any data to prove what the long-term effects are on vaping after, I'm like
20 years of data, assholes. Okay. They came out in 2003.
Exactly. So you chuckle because they disclaim it every time at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, let me give you some loose facts and then tell you that we have nothing to base those loose facts on.
Yeah.
Although this study doesn't examine vaping as a gateway or catalyst to cigarette smoking, there is a substantial amount of research that does come to that conclusion. For teenagers, it does appear that vaping leads to cigarette smoking. Well, that has not been proven at all. The fact of the matter is you're limiting the availability to vaping, so they're going and getting what's
bullshit. Again, I don't have any data from the CDC to freaking prove that. Okay, I mean, there's a couple states like Rhode Island and like Utah, the 18 to 24-year-old smoking rate's like 2.5%.
Right.
So I mean, where the fuck are these people? Where are these smokers at? Sorry, because I'm not seeing them, and you can go walk out on the street, you're not seeing young kids smoking at all.
I don't see it. I mean, and trust me, I probably have one of the best windows to the teenage world when it comes to the community pool. I mean, like if I'm inclined to capture anything on the cameras when the kids are in purview of that camera, and they do show up down there, what's laying on the table? Vapes. Like, yeah, you see disposables laying on the table. They're not lighting up Capris and smoking at the pool. They're not, that's just not happening. So.
Only old ladies smoke Capris. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I've never seen a teenager smoke that, but
I was being rather facetious in that regard. But I mean, again, what do I see mostly on cameras? I see kids with disposables on the table and sneaking in little bottles of liquor and drinking liquor at the pool. They're not smoking cigarettes, right? So that's not what's happening. So impact of ban on disposable vapes. It has been illegal to sell vapes under 18s since 2015, but despite the ban, it is estimated that 1/3 of the young people have tried vaping by the age of 15. Okay, fine. Most kids are going to try something at least once. The number of 11 to 15-year-olds using e-cigarettes has doubled in recent years. Based on what information is that? 11 to 15-year-olds who are trying it every night, once. Try
at a party.
Do it every once in a while.
Is it ever use or current use? For current
right,
use,
exactly.
Using it once at least one time in the prior 30 days.
What's the magnitude of that usage? You need to clarify that exactly. You're making it sound like that all they do is just hammer on a vape all day long. The government has become increasingly concerned about vaping among young people, of course, and a ban on disposable vapes came into effect in June to stop children and teenagers becoming hooked on nicotine through cheap throwaway devices.
It's really confusing because now it reads like it's coming from the UK, but it seems like they were giving us all numbers from US youth.
Right.
And I kind of did that thing where I could read real quickly on the other sites a little bit of information, and then I took basically the title of that article, put it in Google, this came up, and it looked like it was reading exactly the same way, but they may have augmented some of the article to fit the US framework. I'd have to go back and look. The NHS warns that vapors can become addicted within days, and the nicotine can affect concentration, impact young people's ability to learn and study, as well as increasing fatigue, stress, and anxiety. The new research found that at the age of 17, fewer than 1 in 50 young people reported weekly cigarette use, but the figure rose to 1 in 10 for those who had previously tried e-cigarettes previously, and increased to 33% for current vapors. The decline in the likelihood of cigarette smoking is waning for youth who have used e-cigarettes and has reversed for those currently using e-cigarettes, the researchers concluded. That's kind of interesting to me. So you're basically saying that fewer at the age of 17, fewer than 1 in 50 reported a weekly cigarette use, but the number rose to more people using vaping. But then the title of the article is making it sound like these vapors are turning to smoking, and they're not, because you're showing a number right here that basically says they're not smoking. So which one is it? We can't have both.
No.
Researchers said MPs should focus on reducing e-cigarette use among current users and stop its uptake. However, some experts warn that the link between smoking and vaping may not be causal, and that young people at risk of smoking because of risk factors like poverty and poor education were also likely to vape.
HR 101 actually that shows you that if you actually want to get rid of cigarette smoking in America, give everybody a college education, because they're the ones who've seen the greatest decline in smoking rates.
Right. Peter Hajic, I guess, a professor of clinical psychology at Queen Mary University of London, an advocate of vaping as a quitting aid, said, It is more likely that the finding just shows that people attracted to vapes are also attracted to cigarettes in the same way that compared to teetotalers. What's a teetotaler? Anyone know what a teetotaler is?
A person who abstains from alcohol.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Like completely. Yeah.
Like completely, like they're like the prohibition people.
The hardcore, yeah.
Okay, well, I am not one of them. Drinkers of white wine are more likely to also try red wine. Well, yeah, because you got to figure out which one you like more.
We had that study back in 2016 that happened with the kids. With the conclusion was kids who try shit are likely to try shit. And there's not really any insight that you're getting on here. That's great to know. 9 years later, we're doing the same crap again.
Right. In response, Dr. Mangilio said that the study had examined whether teenagers were simply more at risk, leading them to smoke or vape, and found even high-risk teens were still unlikely to smoke unless they vaped. That is a very common perception, but it doesn't ring entirely true, she added. We looked at the probabilities for high-risk and low-risk teens and found that e-cigarette use was really driving the high probabilities. That is, high-risk teens who had never used e-cigarettes still had pretty low probabilities of cigarette smoking. The research was published in the journal Tobacco Control.
Okay.
Yeah. So, interesting.
The peer-reviewed people, they gave us the formaldehyde and the popcorn lung study from 2015. That's been long debunked.
Yes. But, I still am going to err on the side of, well, I think if there's any uptick in smoking amongst youth, it's because I don't think most kids are all that attracted to the idea of cigarettes, especially like with how they smell and all that other stuff. No, not anymore. But I'm just saying, if you're going to take away one alternative and leave another, they're inherently going to be like, well, I can't get that anymore, so I'm going to try that. And we all kind of know where cigarette smoking typically leads, and that is to its own form of addiction, right? I mean, like I had told myself, up until I finally tried my first cigarette, I'm never going to smoke. I'm never going to smoke. Mom and dad's rule, their lesson. And then I was an angry young teen and ran into a buddy with a pack of cigarettes, and the rest is kind of history. So, I
was always one of those.
You remind me of my brother, Tim.
Yeah.
Growing up in high school, he was anal about I'm not going to smoke. Our parents smoked, I smoked, and he wouldn't ride with me to school because I smoke in the car and stuff and to school. And then he started smoking during COVID. Actually, he's a musician, so it was only a matter of time or whatnot. And he tried quitting a couple. He doesn't want to switch it for vapes. Actually, he wants to switch it for marijuana. That's what he wants to do, and smoke joints all day long and stuff. But it's funny because it's wow, it's amazing to see in 20 years how much the night and day. It's you used to be anti-smoking because people are kind of like that. When I quit smoking, when 2022, when I finally quit smoking to vape, I just went and hung out with the smokers all the time. I was like, blow your smoke on me. I miss this.
I was like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love cigarettes. I still once in a while I'll smoke a cigarette, but I'll do it and I'm like, oh, why did I just put that in my mouth? This is reminds me of a bad ex-boyfriend. Oh God.
I certainly don't miss it. I just remember that moment in time, and I think, it was I just, needed something in the moment to kind of rebel and lash out, and unfortunately it was a poor decision.
What brand did you pick up, by the way?
It started with Marlboro Reds. That's where it started. That's what he had in his pocket. He was a little bit younger than me, actually, and so I was mad that day, and I just needed to take a walk, so I decided to go walk the neighborhood, and here comes Aaron Goff. And I'm like, Aaron, and then we were just talking, and I'm like, man, give me one of those, and of course, I hacked and choked on it and everything, but and then as time went by, it became sort of something kind of like a cool thing to do. It was like, oh, let's go out, let's run off to the mall, and we were smoking Salem's and all kinds of crazy shit. We went through Camels, Marlboro Lights. Camel filterless.
Did you ever smoke like Lucky Strikes?
Yeah, somebody had that. Was well, the
Yeah.
Lucky Strikes were kind of like they were like all the guys that were like into like the alternative music, like punk rock and stuff like that. They were all the Lucky Strike guys, and we would sit at Harrison Park in Arlington County. There was this little park, and they would always bust out their little packs of Lucky Strikes, you know, and they'd all have their way of packing them and all that other stuff. And
they like stick them in your, you know.
Yeah, it became kind of like a communal thing, you know, and then you just did. But what you didn't realize was that, you know, all of that led to a prolonged habit for many years. Lots of changes and shifts and brands and all that other stuff.
See, I never changed my brand. I was always like a Marble Red girl and stuff. You know, I branded really like I'd smoke Camel Lights once in a while and stuff. They were on sale or whatnot, but it was always Marble Red. It's like, you know, if I could buy a pack of cigarettes, that's what I'm going to end up buying. But I went to college, right before they banned cloves, and I went to this all girls school, and so they one of the worst things you can freaking do is they congregated us, so it was a non-smoking campus, but we had the smokers table and everything. Yep. All girls school, smokers table. You could imagine how many fist fights, you know, cat fights that started out of that one. But the cloves were like the biggest thing, and I always hated the cloves. It's like, man, if I want to like smoke, if I want to go smoke freaking incense, I'll go do that.
Cloves were certainly something that was more, again, like to the alternative punk crowd. Like we would go to like the shows downtown to these seedy, like, you know, kind of hollowed out places, and there was always these little powwows of girls that would sit in a circle, you know, with their
black cigarettes,
with their agnostic haircuts, and you know, their stompers and all that stuff, and their red suspenders, and you just smell the cloves from a mile away. They never really transferred to the guys as much. The guys were pretty much just straight hardcore smokers and stuff like that. But anyway, we all know how those stories tend to go. So we were all there at one point in time.
It was funny, like we were working on tobacco, like, you know, 10 years later, and realizing it's like, oh wait, that's when they got banned. Okay, that makes sense why I never saw them anymore.
But I mean, it you know, history sort of repeats itself, and so, you know,
it goes round.
Something else will come along in 5 to 10 years, and the kids will be big on that. And I can't fault the kids for trying things or doing things that they shouldn't be doing, because we were all there. We wore the same shoes, and we all did the same silly things. You know, whether or not those transpired into, you know, poor decisions later on in life, you know, I mean, some did, some didn't, but you know, I think the kids are tired of vaping in a lot of ways. I think they're like over it. It's not as cool as it used to be.
Well, you can see, you didn't like share it, but and don't share it now or whatnot, but you can sit there and see, especially like the United States THR 101 page, it spikes in 2019 and it drops with youth vaping. And you can definitely tell, and it's a question of like, Juul didn't even have to have a marketing department in 2018. The federal government was marketing for them enough. And we'll see what happens. I mean, again, we don't have a lot of, this is bullshit. Like, maybe, I don't know. I did a couple last year or the year before. I did look at the UK youth use actually, and it was really interesting because they had actually seen a bigger spike in like 2015 to 2016 than what they saw from like 2018 to 2019. And it's just like, why are you going after this now when you didn't go after this before? And actually you were doing the opposite. But I told like my former colleague, I was just like, well, youth vaping is down in the States. They're going to go turn their eyes on somewhere else.
Sure.
And the UK and New Zealand is really where you're seeing tobacco control kind of go after.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we're subjected to a lot of the same stuff. I don't know. Back to the conspiracy thing. I just, kind of finished it with my wife, and I said, it's all kind of interesting. I said, because when you really wrap it all in a nice big package, vaping is being attacked, but at the same time, the FDA is,
languishing.
They're languishing, but they're also sort of regulating. Vaping got included under the same umbrella around, regulating tobacco products. And I'm like, it's not the same thing. It's got put up under that umbrella, but who has the quote unquote legal products out on the market? It's all the big tobacco companies that have gotten the green light, whereas all of the, independent e-liquid manufacturers and the people who are trying to stay away from that are the ones that got shut down.
You know what you have to do if you want to switch that. And actually, God, I'm gonna again. This is when I told you I was on the news on Monday, and I was just like, oh God, I'm gonna piss off tobacco on this one and stuff. And what I did talking about the vape directory bills, but when I first started my former place or whatnot, or a different former place, I talked to one of these tobacco people, and they're like, well, what would you like to sit there and see? And I was like, I want to see the Tobacco Control Act dismantled. And they got so afraid of me on that one, because I mean, that is what it is. It's the tobacco. When you gave, when you look at the history of it, I mean, 2007, e-cigarettes get introduced to the U.S. 2000, and that same year, the FDA tries suing them because they want to regulate them as a medical product or whatever and stuff. And then it's not until 2009 that Congress actually gives FDA authority to regulate tobacco products. And then it's 2011 where a judge that sits there and says, yes, e-cigarettes can be regulated, but they have to be regulated as a tobacco product. But if you read the TCA, I mean, one of the biggest things is the predicate date. And I'm still surprised, like, why that hasn't gone, like why there hasn't been a push in Congress to move that one. Any product that's introduced to the market that it didn't have a substantial equivalent on the market before February of 2007 has to do a pre-market tobacco application.
Yeah.
And then now you're seeing they just announced, oh yeah, you're going to have another TIPSAC meeting for ZYN's MRTP. Well, okay, why the fuck do we have an MRTP? The PMTA sits here and says that this is appropriate for the protection of public health, but manufacturers now need to go through a different, process, and then they also need to renew it. This is wholly inefficient, especially for it's about 10% of America that smokes. Okay, we're not a very strong contingent of people, but it's wholly inadequate and inefficient, and completely. But there's also, you're seeing, especially when you look at these vape directory bills or whatnot, there's the public health and tobacco, like tobacco control and tobacco companies, two sides of one of the same coin.
Yep. It's a mess. I mean, obviously, it's an uphill battle for us at this point. We have an inefficient government trying to regulate something that shouldn't be regulated in the same way as cigarettes, and so but the fight continues on, and all so we quit is a double-edged sword on this show, isn't it? Like, we don't quit the advocacy, but we quit cigarettes, and that's that's the message we try to carry over.
I didn't even quit cigarettes, guys. Sorry, but when I first started writing about vaping and stuff, I was still smoking and hiding from vapors. Right?
Well, I mean,
but that's okay. We don't care. That's just it. We don't care.
Some of y'all don't care. Some of y'all did. Okay.
I was not a bully to people who continue to smoke, and I couldn't.
Oh, do you know how many vaping advocates I've smoked down? Okay, and stuff, and we'd go to a conference, and some of them were pretty big names or whatnot, but they'd ask me for a cigarette, and I'm like, the bad friend, sure, here, take it back.
Well, I mean, we all had to go through. I mean, I even went through those periods where I really was adamant about sticking to vaping, but I had to travel a lot for work, and I was being sent to a lot of places where vaping was banned, it wasn't allowed. So I had no choice but to pick up cigarettes for a week or 2 weeks while I was in those places. So, I mean, whether I wanted to smoke or not, I still sort of needed that crutch at the time. And, That's all. That's all there really was.
By the way, like when I quit in like 2022, and then in November 2022, January 2023, went through a really bad breakup. I moved down to Florida, and I picked up, like, I never bought a pack of cigarettes. Well, I never bought one for myself. Okay, I bought one for my brother and everything, and I would just, like, kind of smoke them or whatnot. But yeah, I went back to smoking for about a month or whatnot, and then I went back to just vaping exclusively and everything. And that was it's nice to have a tool that you can kind of fall off the wagon, but not completely off the wagon. So,
but I think that's what you find. Moreover, is that like with any sort of, I mean, if you want to put it under the same umbrella of an addiction of some kind, a lot of people do fall off from time to time. I had a friend, specifically a friend who's here in the music scene, and he was big on vaping to the point where he actually kind of got himself off of vaping, had a really bad time in his life. Some shit happened in his life and he went back to smoking, but then he transitioned back to vaping. So it seems to be, even though that exists, it's cyclical in its own way. So he's back onto vaping, and then of course he has the end goal of quitting completely.
And it tastes a lot better than old Juuls.
That's true. I don't think I've ever stooped to those levels. It's kind of weird to go to like the big liquor stores, and then they have like a whole section of all non-alcoholic IPAs and stuff.
There's a non-alcoholic Natty Light, and I go to this dive bar here where I'm living at and stuff. It's called The Cave. Okay, so I'm probably like showcasing where I live at, but I mean, let's just say when I went out on Saturday, I saw not one but two Mullins. All right, that's the type of place that it is. They have, and it's funny, they have Natty Lights for like $1 or something, and it's still like till it's gone. I guess they got it from their distributor or something. Yeah. So I'm like, Natural Light made a non-alcoholic beer? You got to be kidding me. I mean, like, I don't even drink that. Like, you have to put more alcohol in that for me to actually.
I was going to say, do you even get drunk on Natty Light to begin with? So
yeah, it's like, are you kidding me on that one? But I mean, hey, everyone's got their thing.
Right.
It's the placebo effect. Well, with that said, we are a bit over time. John, unfortunately, could not jump in on the show. I'm sure he's enjoying his day off. We'll let him have a day off. With that said, so exactly. Again, encourage everybody to head on over to THR 101. Check out all the new information and interactive stuff going on Lindsey's website. She did a fantastic job.
Absolutely fantastic.
Use that as a weapon in your advocacy holster. And we'll once again be back next week, and we'll have more stuff to chit chat about. So with that said, to the wonderful panel here, thank you guys for being here, and
all the
everybody
people out there.
Yes, absolutely. To all of you,
thank you,
everybody in the chat. So everybody, take a look in the camera. Hold on. I was not prepared. I got to go back to the media asset stuff, and then I got to do that. So, all right.
He's still learning.
I'm learning. I'll get it down to a science a couple more times.
You're doing good.
All right. Anyway, thanks to everybody for joining the show. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. All right. Bye. Oh, wait. Yep. Run.